Long distance travel in Kenya, it's an adventure, really. You never know what to expect. Even when you think you have it all figured out, something unexpected always happens. The whole experience is spontaneous and predictable. And for someone like me who thrives on chaos, well, that's a thrill. As a young man, I had a front row seat to chaos every time my paps took his frustrations on rogue turn boys, the one who tried to mess with you in public transport. Now, my dad wasn't just any man. He'd always joke about putting Jesus and the Bible aside as he'd practice his taekwondo moves. And let me tell you, those turn boys, well, they were stunned every time. Most of them will back off with insults, avoiding any real confrontation. So here I am on a night journey, my favorite time to travel, by the way. I'm not the kind of person who sleeps much, so this is nothing new for me. But tonight was different. I had to return my motorless two-wheeler home, and by the time I made it to town, it was too late for my booking. No vehicles left. Now, postponing my plans was not an option. The urgency was key. I had no choice but to find another way. It's midnight now, and honestly, I'm starting to feel a bit nervous. I'm carrying sensitive luggage, items of great value. Roaming the streets of Nairobi alone at this hour, it's never easy. But somehow, I had a cousin with me, even though he was more than a little intoxicated, if you know what I mean. Together, we scoured the streets, trying to find me a spot on a Busia-bound bus. But by the time we reached the county bus station, Machakos, that is, we were left disappointed. And mind you, that was the last option. Just as I was about to signal my drunk cousin to leave, I hear it. Kisumu wawili. A bus agent calling out. Salvation. I felt a rush of relief, so much so that I decided to withdraw cash and pay the fare. No matter what it cost, I was getting on this bus. Just as I thought things were settling, the conductor does a head count. Turns out I'm an excess passenger. I freeze. I'm that extra person they didn't expect. The conductor looks at me, confused. Oya inakuaje? I ask, thinking, is he going to kick me off? Thankfully, my calm pays off. The conductor waves me through, but the situation isn't over. I got to sit on the cold metallic floor along with the crammed luggage. Comfort is an afterthought here, but it's a space to travel, and that's all I need. My cousin bids me farewell and we start moving. But of course, my troubles don't end there. Turn boys, the same ones that always seem to show up, cram the doorway, hoping for a ride to Udhiru. There is no space for me to sit, and here I am standing, my legs are aching, but I'm a cyclist, so I hold strong. A tall man with sharp oblong features gets on, and just like that, he shoves another excess passenger onto the bus. The passenger, a woman, an old woman. She's grateful. I feel the anger bubbling inside me. He doesn't care. He's just making space for himself. But the woman, well, she needs it more than I do. The journey goes on. The heat, the cramped space, the fatigue. It's like a concentrated dose of pain. And just when I think I've seen the worst, I feel something shift. Something's about to happen, and I have no idea. In my quest for comfort, I sluggishly sat on a passenger's luggage. I almost drew the ire of its owner. I had to be mindful for the rest of the journey. The woman had soaked up all the comfort, and it was now that I realized I'm in hell for a night. Nakuru, the customary stop. Since I was young, this has always been a stretch for the legs, a washroom break, some nice refreshments, and if you're broke like me, pretend you're not hungry or be on a phone call. Hello babe. After the Nakuru pit stop, it's back to business. Unlike the season premiere, this time I know what I signed up for. 4 more hours before daylight, and I returned to my seat, second last, leaving the woman to assume her position. The bus starts moving. Though not fast enough, we are still dragging, and a young passenger asks, once more, the whole bus lights up. At least, we can still laugh at the absurdity. I mastered whatever strength I could to find sleep, and I did, though it was hazy, and I could feel the weight of exhaustion pressing on my bones. But even in my haze, I knew this trip was far from over. With all due respect to the Tumefika Kericho guy, we were already past it, heading to Kisumu. Yet, we were still slower than the typical bus ride. It was now 7:30 a.m. and we are still crawling. Why is it taking this long? I asked, turning my aching body, my butt cheek numb from the sitting on this cold, rusty floor. My legs stiffened and numbness crept towards my lungs. Damn, I muttered a solemn prayer. It was now 8 a.m. and people began to alight at every stop. Comfort was now warranted. I finally found a seat. Half an hour later, my feet touched dust in Kisumu. God was gracious. With that said, I still had much ground to cover. I hopped off the bus, yearning for some calories. I quickly found a pit stop, ordered some tea, sweet potatoes, and chowed down, paid. Then it was time for the next shuttle. Despite the short distance, the van took its sweet time to arrive. It was like I was on a tour through the villages of my rural home. I even met people who boarded the van very well, only to claim they had nothing to pay. It was like Nairobi, but this time it was women, fear women. I finally reached my destination in Bumala and treated myself to groundnuts and fried nuts. Karma for my persistence? I don't know. Finally, I had arrived. After all that chaos and discomfort, I made it. A journey full of mishaps and humor. But it wasn't over yet. I still had to do what I came to do, and in a week's time, leave. And there was still some drama. I was supposed to stay just 3 days, but of course, things didn't go according to plan. After those 3 days, something came up, and suddenly, I'm stuck here for a whole week. Don't get me wrong, I had fun, my own way of course, and was surrounded by some amazing people. Finally, the day came for me to head back. I had some supplies to take with me, nothing too complicated. But what I didn't expect was to be hauling tens of kilos of wet luggage. Not exactly what I had in mind for the return trip. I was late. It's an embarrassing habit. So I get to Busia, the bus station, right at the border. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to move all this heavy, soaking wet luggage when the real fun begins. First off, bargaining with the broker. Once they saw that my luggage was wet, the price for ferrying it jumped to 600 shillings. Add that to the fare, I'm looking at a total of 2,000 shillings. That's not great. It's now 8:30. I've paid. I've settled my luggage. I'm just waiting for the bus to show up. A full hour goes by, and I'm still standing there, watching the long line of trucks lining up for customs, wondering if I've been tricked into something. I hear whispers among the brokers. No more passengers are allowed. The bus is full. But I'm starting to think, what bus? Then at 10 p.m., the bus finally arrives, and the scene is straight out of a movie. A swarm of agents, brokers, circling around like sharks. They spot my luggage immediately. I get slapped with more loading fees. The turn boys ask how much I paid for my luggage. Before I even answer, he says, "Mzigo nsanani." Seriously? You've got to be kidding me. I won't pay a dime more. I drop the name of the chief agent, just playing tough to get away with it, but luck is on my side. My luggage gets loaded without any extra charges. At least that's one thing of my list. Now this bus was very full, but somehow I managed to find a seat beside a nursing mother. It's usually not a big deal, except when the baby starts wrestling with sleep. That's when the kick comes in. But hey, I'm not about to make a scene, so I just let it be. 11 p.m, the bus hasn't moved. Chaos ensues. People are pushing, yelling. Then it happens. One guy, a Gen Z, gets into a heated argument over his seat. He refuses to back down, and before long, there's a full-blown fight. I was kind of impressed by his courage. I took that as motivation for my journey. 12 p.m., the bus hasn't moved. Chaos ensues. People are pushing, yelling. Then it happens. One guy, a Gen Z, gets into a heated argument over his seat. He refuses to back down, and before long, there's a full-blown fight. I was kind of impressed by his courage. I took that as motivation for my journey. A sudden stop, eerie silence, door opening with a loud thud. A group of officers brandishing arms. It's a roadblock. A stop check for illegal infiltration. They start asking for ID cards. I'm usually not a fan of carrying mine, and I start panicking. Out we go. Everyone's minds are spiraling now. I decide to stay calm, but I'm curious to see how this plays out. Turns out, the officers are checking for the BCG vaccination mark, that little mark on your left arm. I never thought it'd come in handy, but here I am, showing it to the officers. It's like a badge of honor. And with that, I'm back on the bus. Guys, we also had Ugandans in the bus, and they took a lot more time. After hours of chaos, we are finally moving. But the bus is overloaded. I can feel it. I'm squeezing into my seat, and the driver's skills is the only thing that's keeping us from tipping over. The bus is too heavy. We are speeding past the night, and I can barely keep my eyes open. We make a pit stop at a petrol station. I'm half asleep, but this isn't just a break. It's a preparation stop for before we get to the weighbridge. The bus, being overloaded, needs a bunch of people with their luggage to get off to lighten the load. They're supposed to hop into a standby vehicle that will also cross the weighbridge and return the passengers back to the bus when they're safety. Some expected drama ensues, but after a few tense moments, the crew gets away with it. After all the madness, I finally made it to Nairobi, 7:30 a.m. I'm just glad to be back, exhausted but grateful for the experience. Because at the end of the day, getting to your destination is what matters. And sometimes, even the most frustrating trips teach you a little something about patience, perseverance, and something more about yourself. Now, of course, if you have stuck with me throughout this video, thank you. This has been a crazy ride. Thank you for this debut. Like, subscribe. If you ever had a travel experience like this, full of chaos and adventure, drop a comment and share it with me. And if you enjoy the story, don't forget, again, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss the next wild tale. See you in the next one.